Hi, I'm Shannon Stubbs, your Member of Parliament for Lakeland. We are all facing unprecedented times together, and there will be a lot of changes, not only day by day, but as so many of you know, sometimes even by hour. And I know that no two constituents in Lakeland are facing the same situation. You know, some are juggling family issues like childcare and education. Some of you are trying to work from home, while others are forced to leave their families to work. And for others, I know you're dealing with reduced income, and in some cases with no income at all. The one thing we all have in common is a need for some sense of stability. And stability is what I want to talk about with you today. I do want to let you know that my office is still working every day. We are following all safety measures for social distancing, but we can and we are still taking your calls and your emails, and we will provide you with video updates and social media updates on programs for assistance as more information is announced. Like with all things, the devil is in the details, and government and agencies are figuring out how to deliver on those announcements in real time. In the last 7 days, my office received almost 900 emails from concerned residents. My staff here fielded over 115 calls in 5 days and worked on several cases successfully, assisting over 30 stranded Canadians, ranging from youth stranded without their guardians in the Philippines, seniors with health conditions stranded in Mexico, energy workers detained in Morocco, many needing travel advice and assistance returning from the United States. In some cases, my staff, Tina and Juanita, called airlines themselves, and very vulnerable seniors caught in countries between border closures like in Germany and India. They've also been working with the travel registry to assist in identifying others around the world, including in places like China and in Peru. Now, our method for delivery of these office services may have to change over time, and there may be some adjustments, but our commitment to being your stability will not. I will continue to bring you updates and upcoming posts and videos on crucial announcements like those for farmers and the agriculture sector, and for oil and gas workers and the energy sector. I will do this as your Member of Parliament and as the official opposition Shadow Minister for Natural Resources. Now, I'm sure you all know that Parliament was supposed to open today to discuss emergency legislation in response to COVID-19. Conservatives have been clear that if presented with a bill that supports relief the Prime Minister has announced to date, we are ready to pass it quickly. However, there are several aspects of the government's proposed legislation that could be draconian and undemocratic and could result in major decisions and consequences being made for you and about your money with no oversight or accountability. Now, many of you contacted me about that yesterday and today, and I thank you for speaking out and for encouraging Conservatives and all members of Parliament to push back. We are responsible to all Canadians to protect and safeguard democracy. We will continue to negotiate in good faith with the government, but Conservatives have been unequivocal that we will not support an unprecedented, unilateral, and sweeping power grab. We know support measures are needed urgently, and that the most important thing is to ensure that help and that assistance gets where it needs to go quickly. And if the government tables a bill focused solely on that relief and measures to help Canadians, Conservatives will act to pass it quickly. But we will not blindly give unanimous consent needed to even have this bill debated if those sections are not deleted. That's why you might have seen the House convene briefly today, and it is suspended again now, because you made a difference by speaking out, and the parties are back to negotiating. And the House may get back to it tomorrow or later this week. Now, as you can see, I'm not in Parliament. I'm not in Ottawa today. But I am continuing to work here in our Two Hills office and on the farm, along with my staff, Tina and Juanita. As you know, careful measures were taken to suspend Parliament and to reduce MPs traveling and to limit the potential spread of the virus, just like all Canadians are asked to do. MPs are apparently considered to be what they call super spreaders because of our frequent plane travel to every corner of the country multiple times a week. So the parties have agreed to limit the number of MPs there in Ottawa, primarily to those who can drive to or were already in or near the Hill. At this time, the decision was made that I would, of course, continue my work within caucus and on policy issues and as the Shadow Minister. And I and my Ottawa office have been heavily involved in preparing and briefing members who will be there, especially with regard to actions and measures targeted to the energy sector with questions and issues for our colleagues to raise. Now, you can bet this is difficult for me because I absolutely want to be that voice speaking for Lakeland directly. But I also thought maybe I'd take this opportunity to tell you something a little personal about me. That's an added factor and a barrier. Something you may not know is I do have a pre-existing respiratory condition. I was born 2.5 months premature, and I was just over 2 pounds when I was born. I know what happened. I ask myself that all the time. And I have to say, compared to other adults and children who were born seriously premature and have major issues and consequences, I have been very, very lucky overall. But one of the consequences for me is underdeveloped lungs and severe asthma triggered primarily by colds and flus, which I dealt with a lot as a kid and still deal with off and on now. Now, I know my political opponents may not believe I have limited lung capacity, or they might wish it happened a little more often that I lost my voice, but it can be a real pain from time to time. I do just want to say, I absolutely would not be here today if it was not for the amazing heart surgeons and nurses at the NICU in the U of A hospital who cared for me for the first 3 months of life. But apparently, this whole thing makes me part of the high-risk category for COVID-19. So some of you have asked why the heck there can't be remote voting, especially in this sort of extraordinary situation. And I do wonder the same thing, but it is what it is for now. And I know I have a responsibility to reduce the probability of bringing it back to my riding and exposing vulnerable people in Lakeland. Thankfully, it looks like the government is backing away from granting themselves sweeping powers and effectively implementing unfettered taxation without representation for years. Otherwise, I know, and I want you to know, that I and many of my colleagues who are working in their ridings all over Canada would jump on a plane to represent you, to have a say, and to stop it. So it's just a small update for today. I hope that you are taking care, being safe, and being well. And there'll be much more to come from me in coming days. Thank you.